My name is Hannah Cole, and at a family dinner my sister called me the failure of the family. The backyard in Riverside smelled of barbecue ribs and cheap wine. Red and gold balloons floated above long picnic tables, swaying gently in the late afternoon heat. It was my father's birthday. Everyone wore smiles that looked practiced and rehearsed. Everyone except me. I stood near the grill with my arms crossed, watching my sister Lauren Cole, my father's daughter with his second wife Melissa, pull her boss closer like she was presenting a trophy. She slipped her arm through his and laughed too loudly, enjoying the attention. Then she turned to the table and said it clearly, proudly for everyone to hear. This is the failure of our family. Laughter followed instantly. Melissa's sharp giggle cut through the air. My father's deep laugh rolled out. Cousins nodded, some smirking, some avoiding my eyes. No one objected, no one corrected me. Every pair of eyes landed on me. The sound of silverware stopped. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even the clinking of glasses fell silent. I felt exposed like I was standing alone under a spotlight. Her boss did not laugh. He stood with his hands in his pockets, calm, quiet, studying the faces around the table one by one. Then he tilted his head slightly as if something finally made sense. A faint smile appeared. Interesting, he said evenly. Because you are fired. Lauren's smile froze in place. The backyard went completely still. No music, no laughter, no breathing that I could hear. I wondered then how many people had felt this before. Humiliated by their own family. Betrayed by the ones who were supposed to protect them. I drove back to the old house in Riverside later that night. The one my father had kept all these years. The porch light flickered the same way it always had. The mailbox still leaned to the left. Nothing had changed. I pulled empty boxes from the trunk and stepped inside. The screen door creaked behind me just like it used to when my mother was alive. Her things were stacked neatly in the corner of the guest room. Boxes labeled in her careful handwriting. Recipes, photo albums, winter scarves she wore every year. I knelt on the floor and began sorting through them piece by piece, memory by memory. That was when I found something tucked inside an old cookbook. A small velvet pouch. Inside it was a USB drive. No label, no explanation. I had no idea then that everything I believed about my family was about to collapse. I knelt on the floor and began sorting through old recipe cards, photo albums, and a wool scarf she wore every winter. My mother's scent still clung faintly to the fabric. That was when I found it. A small velvet pouch tucked deep inside a cookbook she used to treasure. Inside was a USB drive. No label, just a small silver piece of metal I had never seen before. I plugged it into my laptop right there on the floor. The screen filled instantly. Campaign posts, mood boards, taglines, my work. Projects I had written 5 years earlier for an oil fund. My stomach dropped as I scrolled. Every word, every image, every layer, reused exactly as I had created it. Nothing changed. Nothing credited to me. Instead, each file carried another name. A producer at Channel 9, Oklahoma City. That name belonged to my sister, Lauren Cole, my father's daughter with his second wife, Melissa. Their youngest, Evan Cole, was 19 now, away at college most of the year. But growing up, it was always Lauren and Evan who stood in the spotlight. Applauded, praised, protected. I was the leftover, the child from my mother's first marriage. The one they tolerated but never truly accepted. My real mother, Margaret, died when I was 17. Breast cancer. Fast. Merciless. One day she was eating and I made her cornbread for medicine. The next day she was gone. My father remarried Melissa 6 months later. Melissa arrived with Lauren, who was 11 at the time, all pearls and confidence. Evan was born 2 years after that. From the very beginning the rules changed. Lauren received ballet lessons, new clothes every season, and a car for her 16th birthday. A red Mustang parked in the driveway exactly where I was standing now. I received hand-me-downs and a bus pass. Melissa packed Lauren's lunches with handwritten notes and sandwiches cut into bites. Mine was a peanut butter sandwich in a brown bag if I was lucky. My father Richard never corrected. He would ruffle Lauren's hair and say, "That's my girl," while I washed dishes or mowed the lawn to earn gas money. When I needed braces, Melissa said the family could not afford them. 2 months later, Lauren got clear alignment. That was when I learned something important. Asking only earned silence. So I stopped asking. College broke what little balance remained. I I had been accepted to the University of Oklahoma on a partial scholarship. My father sat me down at the kitchen table and said the family budget was tight. Melissa wanted Lauren in private school. Evan needed braces too. My scholarship did not cover housing, so I commuted an hour each way on the bus. And that was how I learned how far I truly stood from the family I was born into. I lasted 2 semesters. I worked nights at a diner, slept 4 hours a night while I was lucky to showed up in class smelling like fried and exhausted. While I memorized orders and carried trays of juicy fries, my sister Lauren lived in a dorm room with a meal plan, spending money. My father bragged about her journalism classes at family gatherings, while I wiped counters and counted food. When I finally dropped out to work full-time, Melissa told the neighbors I could not handle the pressure. My father stood beside me and nodded as if it were the truth. I moved out at 20, a studio apartment above a laundromat, no goodbye party, no help with rent, no boxes carried to the car. Lauren texted me later that night and said, "Guess you are on your own now." Evan was only 8 then, but even she understood the rules of the house. She waved from the window as I loaded my duffel bag into a friend's car. I waved back and drove away. Years passed. I built something from nothing. Lauren toasted. Evan watched. When I visited, which was rare, Melissa cooked separate dinners, steak for her children, and soup for me. My father managed the local charity fund, standing on small stages, preaching family values and sacrifice, while ignoring the daughter who paid her own rent. The USB drive glowed on the laptop screen, proof in black and white. Every idea I had poured into that cramped studio apartment, every late night, every skipped meal, all of it taken and used by the sister, who had been given everything without asking. I closed the laptop and stared at the velvet couch and laughed. My mother had touched it. She had known. The next morning, I called Isla. Isla had been my freshman year roommate, the one who taught me how to stretch $5 into a week of meals. She answered on the second ring, her voice raspy from a late shift. I told her I needed help with something digital. I did not explain. She did not ask. She told me to come over. Coffee was already on. Her apartment sat above a tire shop on the edge of downtown Oklahoma City, about 20 minutes from Riverside. I parked behind a stack of worn tires and climbed the narrow metal stairs, each step echoing louder than my thoughts. I was done carrying this alone. She opened the door wearing sweatpants, her hair pulled into a messy bun, and handed me a mug that read, "World's Best Designer." We sat at her small kitchen table with the laptop between us. I slid the USB drive across the lid. She raised an eyebrow but said nothing. She plugged it in. Files loaded. She scrolled, her eyes narrowing. Then she let out a low whistle. "These are yours," she said. Not a question. Every single one. She leaned back, arms crossed. "You want me to trace the editor. That is why I am here." Isla worked fast. She pulled timestamps, cross-referenced file patterns, matched fonts and color codes down to the smallest detail. By the time the coffee went cold, she had built a full-time office. 5 years of my work uploaded to the Channel 9 Oklahoma City server under my sister Lauren Cole's login. The same Lauren who thought I was still waiting tables. I stared at the screen as memory surfaced. My first real break came when I was 22, freelancing for a small oil rig outside Maine. The owner paid me in cash and a tank of gas. I designed a safety campaign that reduced accidents by nearly a third. Word spread. More work followed. Willing firms. Pipeline startups. Refineries. I learned how to pitch, how to negotiate, how to close deals without flinching. At 25, I registered Brookline Energy Creative out of a co-working space in Brooklyn. 1 desk, 1 chair, 1 stubborn dreamer. I hired my first employee 6 months later, a junior copywriter who quit after 2 weeks. I did not blame her. Payroll was late, rent was due, dinner was instant noodles. But the work kept coming. I landed a statewide safety contract, then a full rebrand for a midstream giant. Revenue crossed 6 figures, then 7. I moved the office into a loft near the arena, hired a real team, bought actual furniture. By 30, Brookline was bringing in $12 million a year, serving clients from Houston to Denver. I kept it quiet. No social media, no family updates. My father asked once what I did for a living. I said marketing. He grunted and changed the subject. Melissa assumed I was barely scraping by. Lauren bragged about her producer title at the station, never noticing her parent company listed on her paper, Brookline Energy Creative. The local branch was run by Ethan Tate. I had hired him 3 years earlier after he turned a failing pipeline company into a regional award winner. Sharp, loyal, no ego. He reported directly to me, handled local hires, approved budgets. Lauren started 6 months ago as an entry-level segment producer. Low stakes, small responsibilities. Working under my company without realizing I owned it. Sheila closed the last mouth slowly. You built an empire, she said, and your sister has been pickpocketing. I rubbed my temples. The numbers did not lie. Lauren had access because Channel 9 was a Brookline subsidiary. She logged in with generic credentials, copied files, stripped the metadata, and passed the work off as her own. Ethan never noticed. Why would he? She was just another junior staffer. I thought about the late nights in that first office. 2 in the morning, client involved. Pitch decks rebuilt from scratch after system crashes. Every win had been mine alone. No family money, no safety net. Just me, a laptop, and a refusal to quit. Sheila poured more coffee. So what now? I looked out her window at the skyline. Now I decide how this ends. That afternoon, Lauren texted me. Family barbecue this weekend. Bring dessert. Ethan is coming. I read it twice, my thumbs hovering over the screen. Dessert. As if nothing had happened. As if she had not just been exposed. As if she had not built her career on my work. I set the phone down and reopened the file. Sheila had exported the metadata into a spreadsheet. Dates, file names, user IDs. The earliest upload traced back 5 years. Right after I finished that safety campaign for the Norman. And that was when I knew. She had never stopped. The client had loved the campaign and requested printed copies for every site office. Lauren must have seen the mock-ups when I emailed my father a thank you note with photos of it. As I scrolled deeper, I found a pipeline rebrand I had pitched to a firm in Houston. The same color palette, the same tagline, now presented as Lauren's original concept in the Channel 9 segment. Another file revealed a tracking awareness series I had created for a non-profit brand. She had swapped out my stock images for local footage and aired it under her own name. Isla leaned over my shoulder. She did not even change the font, she said. Turning, lazy. I pulled up the server log. Lauren's login appeared night after night, usually after 10 in the evening. The same hours she claimed she was working late on edits. She would download my folders, rename them, script the creation dates, then upload everything to the station shared drive. Ethan had access to the same system but never cross-checked credits. Why would he? Producers submitted content every day. I cross-referenced each campaign with its air date. Every stolen idea aired within a week of her upload. Ratings climbed. Sponsors renewed. Lauren earned bonuses, promotions, and a corner cubicle with a window. Meanwhile, I invoiced clients directly building Brookline piece by piece. One file stopped me cold. A 30-second spot for a refinery turnaround. I had spent 3 weeks crafting it, sourcing footage from 3 states and syncing the voiceover precisely to safety and listening. Lauren aired it word for word. The only change was a laugh track added at the end. The client later called to praise our team. I thanked them, assuming Ethan had shared credit. I opened the original brief. My signature sat at the bottom with the date. Lauren's version carried a new footage, produced by Lauren Cole, Channel 9, Oklahoma City. No mention of Brookline, no mention of music. Isla exported everything into a secure folder, encrypted it, and backed it up on 3 drives. This is airtight, she said. Intellectual property theft, plagiarism, breach of contract. She is finished. I nodded, though my mind was already moving ahead. Lauren believed Ethan was her mentor, her ladder up. She had no idea who reported to me, no idea the station operated under my umbrella, no idea the ideas she flaunted were mine. I closed the folder. The barbecue invitation still glowed on my phone. Lauren wanted to play happy family. She wanted to show off her mentor to my father and Melissa. Perfect. I typed back that I would bring the laptop. The backyard filled quickly. My father fired up the grill smoke curling beneath the same red and gold balloons from his birthday. Melissa arranged trays of coleslaw and cornbread on the picnic table, wiping her hands on an apron that read, "Kiss the Cook." Evan scrolled on her phone, legs swinging from a lawn chair, waving occasionally at cousins. Lauren drifted between desks, laughing too loudly, clutching the beer like a tot, her curls bouncing as I sat. I carried the laptop bag over my shoulder. The dessert I was supposed to bring sat forgotten in my car. Ethan arrived in a navy blazer, shaking hands with my father, and nodding politely at Melissa. Lauren grabbed his arm and guided him toward the center table, her voice cutting through the noise. Everyone, this is my boss, Ethan Blake. He is the reason I am killing it at the station. My father clapped him on the back. Hear that? Our girl is a star. Melissa beamed. Finally, someone recognizes talent. I set the laptop on the table, opened it and pressed play. The screen filled with side-by-side comparisons. My original briefs on the left, Lauren's aired segments on the right. The fonts matched perfectly. The taglines were identical. Upload timestamps glowed in red under her login. The noise drained from the yard. Forks froze in midair. A cousin sobbed mid-bite potato salad hanging from his fork. Lauren's smile cracked. What is this? He asked. Ethan leaned closer, scrolling through the files. His expression hardened with every click. My father squinted at the screen, and in that silence, everything began to fall apart. Melissa's hand flew to her mouth, twisting the edge of her apron in stunned silence. I kept my voice steady. 5 years of my campaigns were stolen and aired under her name. Lauren lunged for the laptop. Turn it off! Ethan stepped between us instantly. This is private, he said sharply. This is company property. He looked around the table, his voice calm but unmistakably firm. For the record, I do not run Channel 9, Oklahoma City. I manage the local branch for Brookline Energy Creative. Melissa blinked. Brookline what? My father frowned. Never heard of it. Ethan turned to me, deliberate and composed. Hannah owns the parent company. I report directly to her. The silence hit all at once. Evan dropped her phone. The screen cracked against the patio stone. My father's grill tongs clattered onto the metal grate, sparks jumping into the air. Melissa's tray slipped from her hand, coleslaw scattering across the grass. Lauren spun toward me, her face drained with color. You are my boss. I met her eyes. I always have been. Ethan pulled a folder from inside his blazer. Printed logs. Highlighted upwards. Metadata. Timelines. He handed copies to my father, to Melissa, to anyone with a shaking hand reaching for answers. Intellectual property theft. Plagiarism. Breach of contract. Effective immediately. Lauren Cole is terminated. Security will escort you from all Brookline facilities. Lauren's mouth opened, then closed. No sound came out. Her beard slipped from her hand, foam spreading across the tablecloth. My father finally spoke. Hannah, you built all of this. I nodded once, watching the papers move from hand to hand. A cousin whispered to another, eyes wide. Evan picked up her cracked phone, staring at the shattered screen. Melissa looked from the documents to me as if I were a stranger wearing a familiar face. How long do you need? Ethan asked Jason Lauren. Pack your desk by Monday. Human Resources will mail your final check minus restitution for the campaigns you misrepresented. Lauren staggered backward, reassured, darkening her face. This is a joke. You cannot do this. I just did. The grill hissed unattended in its blackened grates. Balloons swayed against the fence in the breeze. No one stepped forward to help her. Cousins shifted uncomfortably, avoiding her eyes. Evan hugged her knees in silence. I closed the laptop. The screen faded to black. My father cleared his throat, but no words came. Melissa wiped coleslaw from her shoes, her cheeks flushed. Lauren stood alone at the center of the yard as the party dissolved around her. Ethan slipped the folder back into his jacket. I will handle the paperwork. I slung the laptop bag over my shoulder and walked out through the gate. The next evening, my father knocked on my door. I opened it to find him on the porch, his suit rumpled his tie. He held a thick envelope, the edges still crisp. We need to talk, he said, stepping inside without waiting. I closed the door and leaned against it. He paced the living room, the envelope tapping against his leg. Lauren was devastated. That misunderstanding at the barbecue. It was not a misunderstanding. He stopped and faced me. She is family. You cannot ruin her over some files. I crossed my arms. She ruined herself. My father set the envelope on the coffee table. $250,000. Inheritance from your mother's side. Take it. Drop the coins. Let Ethan reinstate them. I stared at the envelope. It looked heavy even from across the room. You think money fixes theft. It fixes silence. He pushed it closer. Sign a non-disclosure. Say the campaigns were collaborative. Everyone walks away clean. I picked it up, feeling the weight of the check inside. Where did you get this? He hesitated. Savings. Investments. The doorbell rang. Evan's face appeared on the counter. I opened the door. He brushed past my father and touched the phone. I need to show you something. And in that moment, I knew this was not the real. My father's eyes narrowed. Evan, go home. She ignored me and set her phone on the table. A video call connected. The image from her dorm room was grainy but clear enough. Bank statements, charity ledgers, transfer records filled with screens. Evan's voice shook. I volunteer at the fund gathering. Last year, $75,000 by listening. My father lunged for the phone. Turn that on. Evan swiped the screen away from me. It went to Lauren's condo bathroom. The wire was labeled consultancy. Same day she closed on the case. I opened the envelope my father had drawn. The check was drawn from the charity account, not personal funds. His signature sat at the bottom. He backed toward the door. This is private family business. Evan faced it. Embezzlement is not private. I held up the check. You stole from children's scholarships to bail her out. My father's face tightened. I protected my daughter. Which one? Silence stretched between us. Evan's phone buzzed. Another document loaded onto the screen. An audit trail. Board notification pending. My father grabbed his coat. You will regret this. He slammed the door behind him. Evan collapsed onto the couch. I did not know what else to do. I tore the check in half, then into quarters, letting the pieces fall to the floor. The messages started immediately. Lauren's text came first. Dozens of them. Pleading. Apologizing. Begging. Please, Hannah, delete the file. I am sorry. You can fix this. We are sisters. Then the voicemail followed. Her voice cracked with panic. If you do not stop this, I will tell everyone you are jealous and unstable. You will lose clients. Brookline will collapse. I listened to one message. Then I blocked another. The calls became emails. Long paragraphs about family loyalty. About how our father raised us. About how I owed them. She attached screenshots of drafted posts. My sister sabotaged my career out of spite. Toxic family. Beware Brookline. Hashtags ready to send. My father's letter arrived by mail. A thick envelope with his handwriting on the cover. Inside was a plea printed on charity letterhead. Withdraw the claim. Sign the attached waiver, or we go public. Your empire is built on lies. Using your mother's death as an excuse. Clients will flee. You will be ruined. I skimmed the waiver. Non-disclosure. Full release. The threat was clear. Refuse and we expose everything. Your reputation ends. Evan emailed me. Please listen. Lauren is desperate. Dad is scared. Delete the evidence and we will forget this. I will come visit. We can talk like before. You are still my sister. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, Elena Morales. She called within the hour. Defamation threats. Emotional manipulation. We file a cease and desist today. Elena drafted the letter on current stationery. Any further contact posts or statements violating non-disparagement will result in legal action for libel, slander, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Cease immediately. I signed. Certified copies went out to my father, Melissa, Lauren, and Evan. No response required. Lauren launched a smear campaign at night. Anonymous accounts tagged Brookline clients. Claims spread. Fraud alerts. Likes trickled in then shared. A few clients emailed questions. I replied with Elena's letter attached. The noise died overnight. My father tried once more. A voicemail from a blocked number. You are tearing the family apart. Think of Evan. She looks up to you. I deleted it. Evan showed up at the office lobby days later. Her eyes were red. Security called me down. She stood there holding a coffee cup, her voice small. Can we talk? Just us. I shook my head. No more talk. She left the coffee on the counter and walked out. I blocked her number too. Soon after, the house in Riverside appeared on real estate listings. My father's name still on the deed. Melissa's car visible in the driveway photo. I packed my apartment, donated furniture, hired movers. The Denver office waited. A new branch, a clean start. My father's final letter arrived weeks later. Probation terms in play. I am sorry. Forgive me. I fed the letter into the shredder, then into the fireplace. Flames curled the paper into ash. Lauren's last email came after. You win. I am nothing now. I marked it as spam. Evan texted from a new number. I miss you. Deleted. The moving truck pulled away at dawn. Riverside faded in the rearview mirror. Suburbs. Oil rigs. The place that had been called home. And I did not look back. The Denver skyline rose ahead of me, the mountains sharp and unyielding against the sky. I changed my number, updated every company contact. No more family names in my inbox. Clients hesitated at first. A few canceled contracts, citing reputational risk. Most stayed after Elena Morales' letter circulated. Revenue dipped 5%, then steady. Brookline endured. Lauren Cole's name vanished from industry directories, blacklisted. No station was considered a resident. Intellectual property theft appeared on every background check. She applied everywhere. Retail, cafes, anything. Rejection after rejection. Her condo slipped into foreclosure. She moved into a small studio near the highway later from the location once there. My father faced the man. The audit confirmed the missing $75,000. Embezzlement charges followed. He accepted a plea deal. 3 years of probation. Restitution. Community service at the same fund he had stolen from. He wore an ankle monitor on grocery runs. Charity events banned him for life. Melissa filed for separation, citing irreconcilable differences. She kept the house and sold the Mustang. My father rented a bare one-bedroom downtown. Evan transferred schools and stayed away from home. From Denver, I watched it all unfold. The new office overlooked Union Station trains rumbling below the windows. The team grew to 15. Contracts expanded into renewables and technology integration. 12 million became 15. Lauren's final LinkedIn post read that she was open to opportunities. No connections accepted. My father's probation officer checked in monthly. No violations. He volunteered quietly at food banks. Melissa sold their furniture online. Photos showed empty rooms. One evening I stood on the rooftop as city lights flickered on. No more messages. No more threats. Only peace. Cutting ties was not revenge. It was release. Lauren learned that actions echo. My father learned that privilege has limits. Melissa learned that loyalty should never be blind. Family is not an obligation. Protect your worth. Protect your peace. Protect your future. Blood does not excuse betrayal. Walk away when you lose. Rebuild stronger. Cutting ties is freedom. That is the truth I live by. And it is enough.